So I'm sure by now y'all are probably getting sick of seeing the stock mower rig that I've been using for a while. So it's time. We're going to upgrade. So this is going to be a full mower conversion. Well, it's called a utility vehicle conversion because we're going to use this thing for some different stuff. First off, the body, it's gone. For our power, for our motor, we're going to be using a Castle Creations 800 kV. I guess there's no picture on this box, but this is the same motor that is running in my litter buggy. So this motor, ESC, that's gone. We're going to put a high torque servo here, and this is actually going to be the rear of the system. For power, we're going to use Ryobi batteries. We're going to run this off of their 18-volt systems, very similar to my litter buggy, because all my other mower rigs are running off the Ryobi stuff, so we're going to set this thing to run off Ryobi as well. For the remote, we're going to go with this FlySky remote. This is a 18 channel, so we'll be able to set this thing up for, as some people suggested, having the trimmer head where it moves left and right. We'll probably also put an FPV system on it. We're going to use Unistrut across here for the mounting components. So, anything that we make that goes onto this, we can just make quick attach Unistrut pieces that go in there. And I'll probably build some type of armor to go over the top. I'll have to look at that. But, yeah, we're going to do a full mower conversion and build a dedicated mower / utility rig. So if that's something you're into, follow me on whatever the heck you're watching this on. You guys have a good evening. All right. So for our pre-work update on this thing, thinking about this, we're going to mount the batteries. Instead of being front to back like on the V14 litter buggy, we're going to mount them in the middle as low down as possible, about right there where we see it. Because we want the center of gravity on this thing to be as low as we can possibly get it. For the body mounts, I'm going to use Unistrut and put a piece across here, right on top of this guard, another one across here, and then we're going to put some like C-channel, the kind of stuff that you find in closets that looks an awful lot like that stuff. We're going to put a piece of that C-channel here in the middle, upside down, or mounted like upside down, let's see, like this, and then we're going to mount the ESC and all the other components onto that channel. And we're going to do that so that as we use this thing in the lawn or wherever we're using it, anything that gets onto the ESC or whatever we have mounted up there falls down onto, well, the housings and all that stuff. It also gives us more options for making a full cover for this down the road. But yeah, that's where we are. I think this thing is going to come out pretty dang cool when we get it all finished. Well, good evening. So this is where we are at. We have our Unistrut cut. This is going to be for the outside, for mounting mowers, buckets, anything like that we want to mount to the system. This is the smaller line, or the smaller channel that we're going to put on the inside to mount the ESC or any power systems underneath here, down in here, right here. Now, this is our power switch. We're going to go with this is a Marine power switch. I used one of these on the V10. We're going to mount that right up here on the front, just like so we can easily switch between the battery on the left or the battery on the right, depending on, or actually we could run both if we wanted to, but I always use one or the other. But that's where we're at. Let me show you the CAD model. Okay, so here is our CAD model. You can see these are our mounting components for the strut to get those good and in place. On the front, we have the box for the power switch. Goes right there. And then on the rear, we have different mounting holes so that we can put, a trailer adapter and stuff like that we need on the rear. We also have the same kind of holes here on the front. So down the road, we can make different accessories and feed them straight through. Now, I'm going to go ahead and screw this thing straight into the existing body, the existing mounts. Yeah, this is a little clearer. We're going to screw the mounting component for the large Unistrut straight to the rig on the original body post mounts. That way, down the road, if we need to work on this thing, we can just pull out the 4 screws and be able to pull that assembly off. These are going to be attached into the body post holder, but I haven't designed any of that stuff yet. As it stands, making the part for the uni-strut is going to take nearly 24 hours just to make the front and the rear component to do that. So tomorrow, I'm likely going to spend a lot of time just making all the conversions. I've got the majority of the parts printed out to convert the motor over, so we're probably going to just spend a bunch of time doing that tomorrow while we let all the other stuff print out, because it's going to take a good bit of time. You guys have a good night. Okay, good evening. So this is where we are at in this. Now we have the front and rear mounting plates in place. Although this one is all screwed together. You know, your front has your power switch for your left and right battery, and you can clearly see how the uni-strut is actually mounting on here. Now the uni-strut is for accessories, mower, bucket, anything you're going to use this rig to haul, maneuver, pull, whatever. And then the internal strut that you see right here is for all your electronics, your ESC, your receivers, everything like that mounts inside. And this sits below the uni-strut, so there's nothing conflicting inside here. The rear of this thing, which is the side that has the steering, which has yet to be hooked up, has accessory points for open beam, so I can make a adapter for the existing gooseneck setup on the reel mower for pulling that mower around, and whatever else we may need this for. And then we have additional holes for different types of mount like that. But we're doing pretty good. We still need to do the battery mounts, which are likely going to attach right here to the uni-strut, and one on either side, and the receiver box, which is going to be a little more complicated because I have to have at least 16 plug points on that receiver box to plug in different accessories, you know, FPV camera, you know, because if you're mowing with this thing and your camera's right here, you want to be able to rotate that camera all the way to the outside so you can look along the side to, you know, make sure you're clear cutting or whatever you need. So still got a bunch of work to do, but it's looking pretty dang good. Hey, good evening. So this is where we are at on this whole little project. Now, I was able to get the battery mounts put on there this morning before work, and you can see how we have those batteries mounted now. And we did this so that, one, the vents are angled downwards, and that we can get our fingers underneath here to release the battery. We have the ESC in place, and if we look inside here, you can see we have 2 ESCs. One of them only does a few channels, the main channels for the rig, which would be the motor, the steering, and the auxiliary for the shifting. So that one there only does those. The other one is the one for, like, if we're making a full lawnmower or anything else we're going to do with it, and those all tie into the side of the box here with all the different auxiliaries and whatnot. You can see that has one set, there's another set over there, and then there's the primaries for the car, the steering, throttle, and auxiliary right there in the front. This way, if we decide to use this for something else, we can easily just open the box up and switch to the other receiver, and then we have that functionality depending on what we're doing with it. In general, we're pretty good. We got the motor done. A new motor is in place of the old original motor. So we got our large castle in there. The fans are on there. We have our new steering servo in place, although it has yet to be actually hooked up. But it's there because this requires 25 volts, which is a board that goes underneath this piece right here. I'm going to have to do a bunch of wiring on all this thing to get it really good to go. For the wiring, because we have the batteries mounted to this piece here, then we're probably going to make this piece and the switch all part of one section, similar to how we did on the version 10. And then we'll just unplug one cable that goes to the internal strut support. The last thing we're doing is the wheels. The wheels on this thing are pretty soft. We're going to try to use the stock wheels, but we can't use soft wheels like that. So right now, we're printing out the inserts that go inside the wheels that make them very, very hard. Just like this right here. You put 17 of these in, and that wheel goes from being a soft crawler tire to something more like what you would really want for a rig that's going to weigh probably somewhere in the area of 30 pounds by itself, God knows how much with all the stuff you put on it. But that's where we are. Next thing probably to do is, well, wiring, because we're about to that point. Anyway, you guys have a good evening. So I started doing the wiring on this thing, and here's a question for any of you guys who do a lot of work with Unistrut. Would a holder for wires be useful to you? See, you know, when you're wiring this stuff up, you don't want to have just a bunch of dangling wires, and a whole bunch of zip ties looks really crappy. So I made this little part of the TPU that fits inside of here, like so. That lets me hold the wires nice and neat inside the housing. So I pull this off real quick, and you can see our battery wires are running nice and neat up there. Anyway, I just wonder if that'd be useful to anybody else. I might put that on my Colts 3D or something if that might be helpful. This is the power distribution box for this machine. Now, what we have here, the thick wire is attached to two XT90 panel mounts. And then all the smaller connectors that we see on the side are XT30s. And the two on this side, one of those is 24.5 volts. That's going to go to the steering servo. And the other one is straight from the battery. And that's going to go to the system that actually reads the battery voltage for the more advanced remote. On the other side, we have all of these are 5.5 volts for different lights and stuff like that. And we have a couple spots open just in case. This is going to hang right here in the middle. Our primary power is going to hit that box, go through there, and then we're going to go up here to the ESC. This is much nicer as far as wiring than just running a bunch of wires all through this thing and zip tie them. And then of course down the road, if we need to, we can make any changes. The board on the top is the step up to the 24.5, and the board on the bottom is the step down to 5.5 volts. Anyway, it's looking kind of good. And this black material, if you're wondering what that is, there is a thing on the market, or I haven't seen it in a while, called liquid tape. And I have found over the years that Plastidip works really good for an insulator for wires, just like that dang liquid tape. So I use Plastidip for that, or waterproofing, or whatever. Anyway, that's where we're at. She's coming together. Just doing some wiring. This dang thing is coming out so nice, and I mean just really nice. I am strongly considering taking my version 14 litter buggy, tearing it down, and redesigning it in this manner, because honestly this just looks great. Instead of having green for the Unistrut or the batteries, we'll use red because we'll use Ryobi. We'll put Milwaukee batteries right there in the same spot, which honestly I like that a lot better because they're lower on the center of gravity. And just mount everything in the center column like that, because god damn, that thing looks nice. And yeah, I think I may need to tear down my V14 and do a rebuild. All right, good evening. So, our mower, well, you can't really call it mower, the multi-use system here is nearly complete. We have all the wiring done on it. The lights work, check this out. Emergency flashers front and rear. So that's awesome. Anyway, I went ahead and put these X-Max tires on here just so you can get an idea of the tire that's going to go on there. The actual X-Max tire that's going on there is not quite as aggressive on the tread and just a little smaller diameter, so it fits better. But you get the idea of what this thing looks like as a finished machine. It's pretty awesome. If you're curious, the adapter for the X-Max tire that goes in here is right here. I left one off just so you can see what that adapter looks like. You know, if you have a SCX6 and you would like to mount an X-Max tire. But aside from that, this thing's pretty golden. I still have to hook up the front steering servo, which is not connected yet. But all the wiring is done on it. It looks really, really nice. I think it came out really good. The lights that are tied into the front piece, because this is two separate parts. So this is one component, and this is one component. So all the stuff that's attached to this, i.e. the lights, all that stuff has to go and be easily disconnectable off the main box there. On the box, by the way, we have our voltages listed on both sides. And yeah, man, I think that thing looks really, really sharp. We'll be able to try it out here in the next day or two. Tonight, before I go to bed, I got to make the mower adapter so that I can pull the real mower and pull the weed eater for the time being. Down the road, I'm going to make a mount for the real or the weed eater to mount on the front of this thing, so it's, you know, it's got a lot of control and I can get right up into corners and stuff like that. And the first accessory that we're making for this deal tonight, in fact, is adapter pieces that go on the side of this box and into the Unistrut, so that we can have this as a litter buggy for my wife and for the 4th for her to move stuff around. In fact, those parts are printing right now. Anyway, that's where we are. You guys have a good night. Alright, so I'm out here to give this thing a bit of a test. And I put these tiny batteries on there just to see, but I think they have a power cutoff, because if I give this thing any throttle, it does that. And you hear that beeping? Beep, beep, beep. I believe that's a low battery indicator. So let me put a better battery on here and see what we get. Alright, we got the better battery in there. These are 6 amp hour. We're going to be running 8 amp on this thing most of the time. We got the remote all set up here. This is going to be our steering system, so forward and then left and right. This thing is going to be pretty awesome. Now initially, we're going to build the trailer adapter, because we have to have the adapter anyway to pull the real mower. So trailer adapter goes back here. So we can pull the real mower, and then initially we can pull the weed eater on this rig. But down the road, we're going to put the weed eater on the front, completely controlled via the remote. And then we'll tie in an FPV camera, likely mounted on the back on a small tower, so that we have clear view, clear line of sight as we go around. And yeah, that's where our plans are. But the initial car works good. And that's what we needed to test. Now, back to other projects. Oh, we also have our high and low shifter right here. So if we need high torque, we can do it. All right, the base car is done. We got the right tires on there. We're running the big batteries on it. And she looks like a beaut. Also, found out that it's really easy to make camera mounts for that Unistrut. So there's a bonus. But importantly, yeah, I think we're good. Now we start with the hard stuff. Trailer attachments, weed eater attachments, bucket attachments. We'll figure it all out as we go.